Time to wake up. It's time for TVC Breakfast, and this is how you get your morning started on the right note. I am Ria Abdul.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ibrahim Shita. It's good to have you once again.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is TVC Breakfast on Thursday, a day after the midweek. My name is Nelson Etta. Good morning.
Good morning.
A day after the midweek and a day before the weekend.
I know. What a beautiful day.
Strategic.
It's a beautiful day in the middle, but it's a beautiful day. And I'll say that we've had quite a great week. You know, a lot of stories have been banging. We've been serving correct breakfast right here on this table. We've been eating well.
Plenty, especially that of the aviation, which I was saying yesterday. Y'all better treat us well, else we're not flying again.
But yes, like I said, there's a lot to talk about on the show this morning. I'll quickly give you a rundown. At some point, you know, we're going to go to Abuja for the FCT brief, and then we get to talk about Natasha. And then we have Nelson here to tell us everything that's happening on the newspaper. He's going to give us all the headlines, and we get to discuss about it. And then again, we're going to have trending now, everything trending all around the world. And then in the interview, we're going to be talking about tax. So please grab your cup of coffee, like I always say, and let's have a fantastic show. But we'll start with the story where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has instructed a committee within the Federal Executive Council to work towards further reducing food prices in the country, as reported on Wednesday. Now, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, made this announcement in Abuja while presenting a paper at a one-day capacity building workshop organized by the Senate Press Corps for its members. Now, Abdullahi explained that the further reduction in food price will be achieved by ensuring the safe passage of agricultural produce and commodities across various routes in the country. The minister stated that the president's directive is aimed at realizing his vision for food sovereignty. You know, when I read the story, we cannot deny the fact that our president is very passionate when we talk about food. You know, let's not forget that he once declared a state of emergency, you know, in food in Nigeria. And on this table, oftentimes we've spoken about the fact that only Ibrahim said he can cook a pot of soup with 10,000 naira. a meatless pot of soup.
I wasn't the only one who said that. I said, if you want to be prudent,
he's not removing himself from it.
No, even less than 10,000 naira. Emphasis, less than 10,000 naira. I'm just telling you.
But anyway, you know, that's on a lighter note. This is what you know, the president is saying. This is what you know, Senator Aliu is saying as well. When we speak about food, it's a very vital part. You know, people cannot even afford to do things without eating. They say a hungry man is an angry man. I remember the other day Nelson was you know, hungry. You know, he automatically become angry. And now we're looking at food price. Now we are looking at food prices as well. But this is what the president is saying, that, you know, reduce food prices so that common Nigerians can even afford food to eat.
I'm happy the question came without me having my own jab.
Everybody has taken their jab.
And you had. Yeah, on a serious note, you know, if the president gives that kind of order, it's because he sees that it is there are means and ways that this thing can be achieved. And that made me think, if the president sees it, how come the ministers didn't see it? Yeah. Okay, now the president has given a matching order, and we're having bright ideas on how these things will happen. You know, especially transportation of food. In fact, that's what the Minister of State harped on in that is in the transportation of food items from one place to another. Remove all the bottlenecks, all those checkpoints, all those this and all that. Try as much as possible to reduce the cost of transportation of food items from one place to another. But generally, it is a good thing. My mind is just that, does it need a presidential pronouncement before something is done about it? I believe that part of the job of the ministers, both of them, of agriculture, is to ensure that food is available and it's cheap.
And it's cheap for Nigerians to be able to afford it. But Ibrahim, let me come to you here. You know, we see these food prices. Sometimes these women go to market and the amount of money they take, they cannot even buy, you know, what's enough to last them for a week. Even 3 days, sometimes you buy food expensive, 3 days, the food is already finished. But look at what the president is saying. Just like what Etoma said, why do we have to wait for, you know, because the president once declared a state of emergency. We see that in terms of food and agriculture, you know, he's very, very passionate about it. Tractors were also given to farmers at some point as well. But why do we always have to wait wait for him to say something, then everybody will come out with, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Do we not know the importance of food for Nigerians?
Of course, everyone knows the importance. In fact, there is an African proverb, especially Yoruba proverb, that says, when you remove hunger from poverty, then poverty is resolved. Do you understand? Because most people who say, I don't have money, I don't have all of this to do this, is because they've not had enough to eat. And people you see, doing some things, maybe jumping from Third Mainland Bridge, not jumping from Third Mainland Bridge, I don't want to say that. I'm saying people who overdo things, like getting behind the wheels and racing your car, saying, yes, I want to be the first to get there. It's because you are you've eaten your food. That's why you feel like, yes, you can kill yourself and all of that. So one thing is, it's good that the president is talking about this. He is actually, started talking about it right from day one. And we know that the removal of fuel subsidy led to the skyrocketing of food prices. And now that we hear that, yes, let's do this. One thing is, remove all of these bottlenecks from transportation. Because from the markets down to the final consumer, from the farm to the market and then to the final consumer, that chain of transportation, you have people on the roads collecting tax, levies and all of that. So it's adding up to the price of food. So if this is removed, according to them, that is one. Two, the tractors which you referred to, the last story I had, they've not been distributed. So they need to also fast track that and let government also be the off taker from the farms. You buy off all of this produce and then you ensure that it gets to all the places that they need to get to, so that it impacts the price of food and service. And fertilizers, very quickly, fertilizers, because sometimes you say we have distributed fertilizers, and then who are those getting it? Most people that are getting it are not farmers. They will take it and resell to farmers. So these are the things that you need to work on.
Now, so let me come to you here. My worry is that, the president cannot do it alone. People also have to do their own part. But it seems like these people that are supposed to do their own part, it seems like they are waiting for the president to say something before it's like the eye service now comes and they start speaking. Ibrahim mentioned that they have not gotten the tractors yet. Why have they not gotten the tractors yet? Is it that there's somebody that is in the middle that is making sure that these things do not happen? And we're always waiting for the president to say something before we now start saying things. He cannot do it alone at the end of the day.
Let me start with that 10,000 naira pot of soup. In fairness, I'd like to be able to do that with 10,000, have the pomo, the shaki, the dry fish, the periwinkle.
With 10,000.
Now you're getting some people hungry.
I'd be able to, I would be very happy if that is possible, frankly. But, the president is driving an agenda. Again, his mantra is renewed hope agenda. And so he's driving that as passionate as he can. However, like we've all said this morning, he can't do that alone. Hence why we have ministers. And let's not forget the governors, who are also presidents in their terra farmers. What are the governors doing? Must we always wait for the president to either travel to do partnerships with other countries or move policies like this before everybody sits up to do what they're supposed to do? If we continue like this, then we always would put our eyes at the center and on the federal government alone to be able to handle the responsibility of catering for the entire country. That's a lot of weight on one place. It can't hold. And so different, elected persons and appointed persons who have the responsibility of doing what should stand up and do their job, or else we will not achieve the renewed hope agenda in its full-blown capacity before the end of their term.
Sorry, I know we don't have much time, but Ibrahim said something that is pivotal to reducing food prices. What you were actually talking about was the return of those commodity boards again, where federal government is federal and state governments are the off-takers of this agricultural produce directly from the farmers. That removes a lot of middlemen. And when those middlemen are eradicated, prices definitely will come back. Maybe the ministers should look at that.
Insecurity is very important.
Insecurity as well. There's so many things that we need to look into, to make sure that this goes well. But at the end of the day, the president cannot do everything. So those in charge as well should also stand up and make sure that things are done properly. But anyway, we'll go on a quick breather now. And when we return, Nelson is ready for the newspaper review. Don't go anywhere. This is TVC Breakfast.